look the Ostern, and I'm just gonna have to go pretty fast. That was my left hand, by the way, for those of you who are German. Just so you know, I understand the laws. And if you're not German, I don't even want to explain it right now because I don't feel like going there. What I'm here for is Happy Easter. Um, that's what I just said. And uh, Easter was more or less a month ago. So you're wondering, why are you talking about Easter? You should have done this a month ago, you daft retard. And I say that I'm not referring to anyone in particular. I'm just, uh, and here I am doing this because really it's kind of an important thing, and I wanted to clarify that Easter isn't exactly Christian, and I know that a lot of churches celebrate Easter, and they give out Easter eggs and chocolate bunnies, and they do all kinds of little Easter things, uh, you know, and that's not exactly accurate. And I just wanted to kind of delve into what Easter actually is and what it should be, and what does it mean to society now, today, and what should it mean? You know, what is this Easter? Where did it come from if it's not Christian? It is mentioned in the Bible once or twice. That's it. Uh, it's only referred to in passing, as far as I know. When the Apostle Peter was being persecuted and he was being held in jail by King Herod, it was just only referred in passing, kind of like a given kind of thing. Like, oh, King Herod wanted to persecute Peter, but he said, oh, let's wait until after Easter. I'm paraphrasing, but that's more or less what it said. Now, first, I'm going to kind of go into the origins of Easter. Where did Easter come from, and why did it start? How did it start? And there's several origins. The first one is Babylonian. And, obviously it started in Babylon, and it started supposedly with Nimrod, the grandson or the great-grandson of Noah. Bingo, that should ring a bell. Supposedly, I'm saying supposedly this entire time because I don't want to really state anything as fact because it's so long ago no one could ever truly know, no, regardless of how much they studied it. And, it's just hard to claim that you would know something like that. Either way, whether it happened or not, it's hard to say, I know that that happened, or I know that that did not happen. I just simply put no faith in any kind of claims several thousand years ago in history. Anything past 1000 BC is kind of just up there, and it's hard to tell because there aren't really any writings left to look at to say, oh, this happened. Um, so, you know. Anyways, um, the Nimrod and his wife were kind of like the king and queen, and Nimrod died. And then, oh, that's not the worst part. The queen had an illegitimate son, and she had no excuse. You know, like her husband was dead. What is she gonna say? I've been pregnant for several years. Um, anything she said would sound lame. So she had to think of something. Now, a little background on Nimrod and what his life was about. Now, he was like the evil, the first, like, after Noah and the flood, the earth was supposedly pure, and it was like a clean slate, and everyone was good and happy. And then Nimrod was this really evil, perverted dude, and he just kind of organized these great, really evil, perverted cities. Like, the cities back then would put, what the North Koreans do to shame. It would put the Holocaust to shame. You know, they were truly vicious, evil, unjust, cruel, um, raping, murdering, killing people, and they were okay with that. It wasn't like a incident worth noting. It was just an everyday occurrence to them. That's what kind of people they were. Now, why do I say that? Because I'm giving you a little background on how the queen made up this reason for her having an illegitimate son. Because obviously she doesn't want to say it. Because, you know, any number of people could have easily, for political reasons, killed her because of that. Oh, you had an illegitimate son, you're dead. And if you doubt me, look at what the Taliban does today. What they practice was invented several thousand years after this happened. This would be along the times of the Tower of Babel. And what happened basically is um, the queen says, you know, well, God made me do it. And then she comes up with this whole thing like Nimrod was a god, uh, Baal or Molech or something like that. And he was this god, and oh man, God made me do it. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. Kind of like the Virgin Mary, except totally different. It's a nice foil character for the Virgin Mary. I'll put it that way, um, because it was obviously illegitimate. Um, and the thing is, some of the people bought it. They said, "Oh, perfect explanation," and went with it. And it developed from there. The rabbit was kind of like a symbol of her husband, you know, fertility, um, basically. And she became kind of like this goddess Ostara or Estra, and then they started worshiping her, and she became Easter, and she became this embodiment of fertility and Easter, and you know, just springtime and new life, because her husband had died and she had had a son. Now, that's one theory. The other theory is, it's not really theories, but it's kind of ideas of what may have happened. Um, the other one is basically the Greek god Aphrodite, and that goddess was goddess. Goddess of fertility, kind of was celebrated, pagan rituals, you know, and it started up this idea of Easter. And she came from the chief god Uranus. And this sounds totally stupid, but this is the Greek language. Um, that's the way, you know, he is literally called Uranus. And that's where the planet was named also. Um, and from there, what happened was he was contested for power. You know, they said, you know what, you're a horrible leader. We want to get rid of you. So all the other gods kind of schemed against him, and they fought him. And in the end, supposedly, they ripped off his genitals and and just threw them away. And they fell in the sea, and Aphrodite came up from the sea foam, and there she was. And she was this goddess of fertility for obvious reasons that I just explained. And that was the second supposed origin. You know, it could be really, at this point, almost anything. I'll ask you about that later, but to continue on, you know, the Easter egg, there really is no actual real origin. You know, many cultures celebrated it in many different ways. It was just kind of like the staple symbol for fertility. You know, an Easter egg, you know, that's where the chicklings come from, right? That's why. It was obvious, it was, you know, it was practical, it was easy. You know, hey, so that's a symbol of fertility. What are you talking about? Um, and another one was rabbits. That was obviously another symbol of fertility. Why? They multiply like rabbits. You ever heard that phrase? Uh, you know, rabbits insinuates fertility because rabbits are always, uh, you know, making more rabbits. Really. Um, so that's another symbol of fertility. And they were both celebrated in different ways, but I'm not really going to go into that because I only have 5 minutes left. So, next. What does it mean to this culture today? And, pretty much Western civilization in general. It's commonly associated with Christianity. It's not really Christian. Lent, that's Christian. Okay? Palm Sunday, Ash Wednesday, Maundy Thursday, uh, and let's see, Good Friday, and East. I'm not gonna say Easter Sunday, but the Passover. Um, they were all Christian. Easter is not Christian. It was only mentioned once or twice in the Bible, and it was only mentioned in passing, like, hey, when King Herod had the Apostle Peter detained and the guards were guarding him, they're like, should we kill him? And he's like, no, don't kill him, wait until after Easter. That was one of the only references to Easter in the Bible. Another thing, Easter Sunday, we say Easter Sunday. How did Jesus celebrate Easter when he was alive? Did he? No. Here are kind of a list of the things that happened that Christians celebrate that started with Jesus. Lent. They celebrate Lent. Some celebrate the Passover, they say, oh, it's the Passover, Jesus' Last Supper. Some people do that. That's fine. Communion. That was originally Eucharist. Also, kind of a split off of Passover to the, farthest of my understanding, that's what it is. Same thing. That's Christian. Pentecost, that's Christian. Easter, that's not Christian. When did Jesus celebrate Easter? Maundy Thursday? No, that was the Last Supper. That was when he washed his disciples' feet. Good Friday? No, that's when he was nailed to a cross. And he died. Let's see. Ash Wednesday? No, not Ash Wednesday. Palm Sunday? He came into Jerusalem. It's not Ash Wednesday. It's not Maundy Thursday. It's not Palm Sunday. It's not Good Friday. It's not Sunday. The Passover. It's not Pentecost either. So it's really not Christian. So why did Christianity adopt it? Simple. No one knows. It's written about, and people generally agree that the Christian church adopted it on purpose to convert more people. I don't believe that. I do not think that was true. The early Christian church were people like Peter, Paul, that was the essence of the early Christian church. Decent, and they were truly following Jesus to the fullest of their extent. And they would correct each other, and that was the quintessence of what the church should be. And we should go back and say, hey, that's how church should be today, but we don't. So I think it was just culture, a social gathering, a popular hangout. Oh, it's a feast, celebration of the New Year, as the Persians did it. Whatever. It could be anything. And really, we're never going to know, because the average people back then usually did not write. Back then, it was the aristocratic, rich, just elitist people, like the Pharisees. They were the ones that wrote. So in the end, they got the last word. And what are they going to say? Christians didn't want to celebrate Easter? No, they're going to say, oh, they adopted this pagan holiday. That's what they'd say. So, there's no way of knowing. And people say, oh, well, it was adopted by the Christian church on purpose, according to so-and-so writer. I say, that's hogwash. No one knows for certain. The people that wrote it were the people that Jesus probably did not like at all. Simple. Alright. So I'm going to leave this with an open-ended series of questions, what does it mean to society today? What do you think it should mean to society today? Where do you think it started? All of this started somewhere. Where did it start? How? Come on. I don't know all of the answers, and I would really appreciate if you went down to the comments right now, checked it out, and saw if you had anything to add. Auf Wiedersehen.